Hello everybody! A petrolhead's bucket list would not be complete without some form of mighty AMG 63. And the obvious cars that spring to mind when you're looking for beastly performance and genuine family practicality is a C63 or an E63. But I recently drove the incredible CLS63 and I absolutely fell in love with that car. But ever since driving it, I cannot get the question out of my head. I wonder what the CLS63 is like. And today, we're going to find out. Come on, let's get into it. My name's Ben, and welcome to Dadcars. Handsome, practical and powerful. No, I'm definitely not talking about the three words that my wife would use to describe me, although I am quite practical. No, those are the three words that I would use to describe this. The Mercedes-Benz AMG CLS63S. Oh God. I'm so excited about this. Pickle, this has got the mighty 5.5 litre bi-turbocharged AMG V8 in it, which produces 585 horsepower, or no, hang on, I think that might be PS, but 585 with 590 pound-feet of torque, which is 800 Newton meters of torque, sweetie. Or in other words, more than 300 Newton meters of torque more than our daily Dadcar V8, the Maserati Gran Turismo S. Which means that I could have my whole family of 6 in this without feeling that, you know, additional weight sort of struggle to the performance. Which I do notice with the Gran Turismo when I'm 6 people up. This has got the 7G automatic transmission. All of that power goes to the rear wheels, even though in other areas around the world, these were available with all-wheel drive. In the UK, we only got rear-wheel drive. And despite the fact that these weigh close to 2 tons, because of this mighty, incredible engine, all that power, all that torque, you can do 0 to 60 in this rear-wheel drive car in 4.2 seconds, apparently. I mean, if this was a 4-wheel drive one, 0 to 60, it'd be less than 4 seconds, easily. Right, sweetie, do you want to see what this is like? Ready, national speed limit. 3, 2, 1. Oh my goodness me. So that was in comfort. Even though it's a perfect, beautiful, dry, sunny day, I'm gonna have to be a little bit more cautious with the old right foot today, I think. These cars are utterly stunning. I talked about it before. It's those muscular shoulders on the back, that scallop on the side, which goes into those rear arches. And honestly, the side profile of this car is estate perfection. And you also need to remember that the CLS was only in production for a short period of time. And so when you take into account how often you're going to see an E-Class estate on the road compared to a CLS estate on the road, not only are these more attractive, they're a far rarer sight as well. This being a 2015 is a facelift CLS. The earlier CLS63, you know, they're still incredibly good looking cars, but I do think the front end is a little bit blunt. You know, it's a bit angular. It doesn't fit the elegant curves on the rest of the body of this car. The way the facelift here all ties together, well, it just looks perfect. And the interior on these cars as well, well, if you've ever sat in an E-Class, they're very similar, but it's such a lovely high-end level of luxury. Here, look, you've got leather just smothered everywhere. The instrument cluster is a feast of analog dials with a round digital screen in the center. This gear selector is a gorgeous little piece of design. It's exactly the same as what was on the E63 that we reviewed last year. These seats feel very comfortable to me and are extremely supportive as well. The lateral support is fantastic, which is what you need when you see what this is capable of in a minute. Yeah, it does have a Volkswagen, Grandad does. This is a Mercedes. Sadly, in this particular car, these seats are just heated and not ventilated, although that was an option. Right, sweetie, should we do a little roundabout test? Yeah. Again, we'll just leave it in comfort, shall we? Leave it in auto. Whoa. Oh, you hear the rumble of that mighty engine. Oh, I can't wait to see what that feels like later on when we're on the correct road. You've also got rather lovely analog climate controls down there as well. But as subscribers know, there is one thing I absolutely hate about the interior of this car, and that is this horrible Temu Express infotainment screen that's just stuck there. If this is your first time laying your eyes on a Mercedes of this generation, that is not a cheap aftermarket item. That is what Mercedes thought was high-end, cool and modern 10 years ago. And I haven't yet quite made my mind up about this steering wheel. It feels a bit chunky in my hand and a bit too squishy for me. And it's got Alcantara on the side, and there's no leather wrapped over the airbag section there. I don't know, with the CLS63, I feel like something a bit more classy would have been more fitting. Now, before we move on to how this mighty car drives, obviously on this channel, Dadcars, the petrolhead channel for parents, we always talk about practicality, but where I just very recently did that 350D CLS shooting brake review, I did a deep dive in that video where I actually check out the rear seats, check out the boot. So look, a little pop-up has come up here now. If you particularly want to see those, check out that video. But the bottom line is, despite the looks of this, hasn't really compromised the practicality that much over the E-Class, in my opinion. Right, sweetie, national speed limit, you ready? Yes, leave it in comfort. So we're going 30 miles an hour, auto, and we'll put our foot down now. Okay, so it took a second to kick down there, not too long at all. Other than the kick down, not feeling any turbo lag there. And that wasn't full throttle input either. God, even in comfort auto, this thing just wants to pull, pull, pull. You really would be an Autobahn king in one of these. Oh, that sounds good, doesn't it? But does it sound better from standard than my Gran Turismo? Let's quickly find out, whilst also finding out if you are due thousands in compensation from a previous car finance deal. No, the Gran Turismo still holds the crown in terms of sound for a standard V8, although the interior in the Mercedes is notably higher quality than this. But an important question for you: have you ever had a car on finance on a PCP deal or a hire purchase agreement anytime from now right the way back to 2007? Because hidden within many of these agreements were significant amounts of commission, money which is legally due to come back to you. Now, of course, you can put in a claim for this yourself with the Financial Ombudsman. But if you're anything like me, you're time poor and also not the most organised with paperwork, you certainly don't have paperwork going back 15 years ago, Reclaim 247 can check all previous finance agreements for you. They might even find one that you've forgotten about. All you need to do is scan this QR code or click the link in the description below, and then their team of trained legal experts will find out how much you could potentially be getting back in compensation. It could be thousands. And of course, this is on a no-win, no-fee basis as well. So if there's no money that's due to you, doing this won't have cost you a penny. Huge thank you to Reclaim 247 for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the shooting brake, shall we? Right, so how does this drive? Is there a big compromise on comfort compared to the 350D I recently drove? Well, this has also got air on the back, springs on the front, and it's adaptive dampers as well. So at the moment, it's in the most comfortable setting, and it's definitely firmer than the 350D. But what I'm actually getting is a lot more texture from the road, and the damping in the comfort setting is really taking the edge off of the worst of the tarmac. You know, my test route is actually quite poor roads, but then I guess you could say that about a lot of the UK at the moment. So as you're moving around town, the steering is nice and light, quite intuitive, and there's a nice bit of resistance as well when making a maneuver. So in terms of just general day-to-day approachability and usability, very intuitive, very nice and easy car to drive. But now we're coming up to a B road, national speed limit. Let's move it into sport, and I'll press the dampers button twice. So we're on the harshest damping setting now, and this road is quite bumpy. Yeah, you can feel a big difference. Or honestly, the throttle response, I mean, this is just such a special engine. The E63 that I drove was actually stage 2 mapped as well, so that was producing incredible amounts of power, which I don't think you actually need day to day. But yeah, the steering to me is really enjoyable, really nice and agile. And, oh, wow. I mean, just for a second then, I forgot that this is a huge 5 meter long estate. Yeah, God, the way it's set up, this makes it feel like a sports car. Oh, this is incredible. In this damping setting, you can really feel all the undulations of the road. Oh. And I was about to say, you'd only use the most harsh damping setting when you've dropped the kids off and you're having a bit of a blast on the way home, but I've just noticed while we were just driving that B road, my little pickle has just fallen asleep in the back. So it can't be that bad, can it? But out of respect, I will put it back into the softest setting. But we need to have a little play in manual mode, don't we? So you've got fixed paddles which move with the wheel. Let's drop it down a second. Oh, the downshifts. Right, let's go for it. Oh my God. So I gave it some really nice progressive throttle input there. Honestly, there's layers to the performance of this car. You'd be able to drive this around as fast as you can in my Gran Turismo S without even using all of the throttle pedal. This thing is ludicrously fast. While we're stuck behind this slow moving car, let's get the windows down and see if I can provoke some nice sounds from the exhaust downshifting. This is definitely one of those cars that makes you realise just how inefficiently slow other road users are sort of bumbling around the roads. Obviously, look, I'm not somebody that speeds, but getting to the speed limit and going round corners as close to the speed limit as you can is one of the upsides of daily driving a performance car. Yeah, I haven't successfully been able to provoke a lovely cracking sound on the downshift yet, but this car is completely standard. This exhaust system has not been fettled with whatsoever, but it's also perfectly judged, I think, for the CLS63. If I had one of these, would I try and have a little tickle with the exhaust system? Yes, I probably would. What would be the dream would be to have it on a switch where you can have it like this most of the time, but when you want to, you can press a button and be a bit more of a lout. So yeah, honestly, for me, the compromise and overall comfort is actually really well judged with this car and well worth the extra feedback that you get from the road. And this is one of those performance cars that, honestly, you could just drive this around with like 2 millimeters of throttle input. I've got it in Sport Plus at the moment. Look, let's slow down, there's nothing behind us. Slow down to 40 miles an hour. Again, I'm just in auto. Foot down. Oh my God. This is just ludicrous. Honestly, this 5.5 litre bi-turbocharged one, like, I'd only driven it before when it was stage 2 mapped, and that was insane. You do not need to up the performance. 585 PS is more than enough, it really is. God, what a beast. I've only really tickled the capabilities of this car for obvious reasons. And if you are looking to get a CLS to use with your family, you'll be pleased to hear that these got an exceptional NCAP safety score. The E-Class/CLS from this generation achieved far better actual driver and child occupant safety scores than loads of SUVs did at the time. Goodness me, that was a rather risky overtake. And as we just saw somebody there in front of us do a rather risky overtake of a cyclist, which resulted in me having to put on the brakes. Another safety reminder as well, if you do not have a dash cam in your family cars at the moment, this is your reminder to do so. Hopefully you'll never need it, but if you did, you'd be glad that you clicked the link in the description, used my promo code and got yourself one. But I do need to be a bit of a mood hoover, don't I? And talk about running costs. Road tax is the full fat, obviously, 700 and whatever pounds. If you're watching this years in the future, comment below and let us know what road tax is now on these. Miles per gallon with mixed driving, well, this car on the dash is saying 24.5. So that's with a mixture of a bit of a long run and also some of the spirited drive-bys that we've done today. So, you know, 24-ish combined isn't that bad. And on a run sitting at 70, it is possible to see 30 on the dash. So for a monstrously powerful V8 that weighs nearly 2 tons, honestly, I don't think the miles per gallon in this is bad at all. But the cost that stops you from buying a car like this is the maintenance cost, isn't it? And yeah, look, servicing from an independent, for a minor service, about 400 quid. A major, around £800. But it's when things go wrong, isn't it? And this car's owner, Richard, who's owned it for nearly a year now, he used to take this to main dealer, to Mercedes, because he bought it approved used from Mercedes. But when he took it in because it needed all new discs and pads all round, and they contacted him saying, oh yeah, the brake lines are sort of showing signs of corrosion as well. He was busy working away and he just said, yeah, look, just get it done. Thinking in his head, oh God, yeah, it's probably going to be like a £3,500 bill. And he was absolutely outraged when the bill came through and it was over £6,000. Ever since then, he has vowed to never take this car back to Mercedes because they didn't even give him any indication that that was how much it was going to cost. And I'm sure if you're looking for reasons to talk yourself out of buying a car like this and you search long enough on the forums, Facebook groups and Google, you'll find horror stories of air suspension issues costing £1,000 and expensive water pump nightmares, and just generally the fact that there is an AMG tax on anything which is AMG specific, and it's annoying because it'll be like double what it should cost. But I think the bottom line is, if you had a £3,500 bill in order for you to drive a car like this for a 12-month period, if that is unacceptable to you, if that's an amount that you just can't comfortably stomach, well, yeah, look, you probably shouldn't buy a car like this. But the other way to look at it is the value for money that these cars are now. I said earlier on that adjusting for inflation, today, these cars new were the equivalent of £120,000 or thereabouts. But you could buy an early pre-facelift CLS63 for under £20,000. At time of recording, there is one on Auto Trader with sensible mileage for under £18,000. And if that car passed an independent pre-purchase inspection and there wasn't too much wrong with it, that is an absolute steal for what this is. And even if you then set aside a slush fund of £2,500 and fully expected to pay out for stuff within the first 6 months, what an incredible dad car to have for around 20 grand. If you want a facelift with admittedly this much nicer front end, you can get these for around £30,000 now. Probably you can get them for sub £30,000. Which, if you'd asked me, if I had £30,000, what dad car would I buy? Up until driving this, I would have said without hesitation an Aston Martin Rapide. But honestly, driving this absolute weapon of a supremely practical family car right now, I would certainly have to think twice. I wouldn't be surprised if I bought one of these. So before I give you my summary on the mighty CLS63S, I need to say a massive thank you to this car's owner, Richard. Richard is a daughter dad himself. He's got 2 daughters, but they are both adults now. So Richard is actually a granddad. He's got a grandson as well. And Richard tells me that his 6-year-old grandson is becoming a proper little petrol head as well. And I'm sure that is down to the fact that his granddad is awesome. Not only has he got this, he's also got a DB9.2, the facelift DB9. God, what a granddad car lineup that is. Richard is also a subscriber of JM on Cars, and in case you haven't seen it yet, my good friend James did review this very car last year. So if you'd like to have even more information, a lot more information than I pack into these videos, I highly recommend you go and check out James's review on this car as well. So in summary then, for the absolute majestic beast that is this, the CLS63S. Now the fact it's got that engine, it looks this incredible. It's not something you're going to see every day. It's not Uber drivers driving around in cars that look just like this. And the genuine real world practicality, if you were worried that this was going to be too firm, I was worried it was going to be too firm. It's definitely a lot more texture you get from the road, but look, my nearly 3-year-old has been fast asleep for over half of this drive. And when you consider as well that these were more expensive to buy than an E63 when they were new, but today they're about the same price. Honestly, if you go and check the classifieds and look for E63 estates or CLS63 shooting brakes, they're about the same money. And it really begs the question to me why, you know, other people, instead of buying performance estates like this, they're going out and buying like GLE hybrids and things. The GLE hybrid has got a notably smaller boot than this, you know, styled estate. The literage is like, it's like over 100 litres less. Honestly, if you can comfortably afford right now to buy and maintain one of these, I think that they are an undervalued proposition. See, I think these are a sweet spot of a modern car. You know, before there was mandatory intrusive lane assist, which grabs the steering from you and all those other annoying things, but you've still got that peace of mind that this is, you know, a modern and genuinely structurally safe car that you can use with your family, and you can feel like an absolute hero driving around in this without being obnoxious, because it's classy. Oh God, honestly, I love this car so much. If I was a wealthy man, I would have such a legendary dad car lineup. I'd have a proper fleet, and one of these would be in it. Last year, I drove a brand new C63 on track. I went 0 to 60, 60 to 0, you know, like, it's an incredibly capable car, obviously, you know, the hybrid one, but it left me just feeling so numb. Honestly, this car is just better in every single way other than numbers on a paper. And the price that you can buy them for, honestly, God, look, if you're thinking of buying one, you've got to do it. You really have. Absolutely sensational dad car, this. Legendary dad car. I love it. Oh look, we're just pulling up to a CLS350. What a coinky dink. As always, massive thank you for watching. If you don't already subscribe to this channel and you're a car enthusiast parent, come on, what are you doing? And in the meantime, check out one of these other videos.